check. Ramiro, can you go first?
Check.
And then can you just speak into the mic?
Hey, how you doing? How's everybody doing?
Perfect. So if you keep that tone and that volume even louder, we're golden.
Okay.
Whenever you're ready.
Ready?
All right.
Frank Leonard.
Hello.
How are you, sir?
Good. I'm doing great. Nice to be here.
You too. So Moose, every time we talk, the show, it's called The Passion Project, and I like to talk about people who have a passion for what they do and stuff like that. And we have had that. But then we veered off. Like last time we talked about the Superman movie and why it's not good. But when I talk about passion, there's nothing more. And we were talking about this before you came in here. I said, there's something about guys who coach football that you can tell they're so passionate about their jobs because they're always moving, always uprooting themselves, their family.
Honestly, it's like a drug.
Yeah, and it's a job that you really don't. I mean, you have an off season, but you really don't have an off season during the off season.
No. Maybe nowadays in college football, maybe 4 weeks. That's decreasing.
Yeah.
In pro football, 5 weeks. You get 5 weeks. Pro football, believe it or not, is the season is much longer, and it's somewhat more draining, but. College football is getting that way now because of its changes. I'm sure we'll talk about that. And, college football has changed, and college football coaches get very little time in the summer. And depending on the level of football, whether it's Division I, what they call now FBS, or FCS, or Division II or III, they're humping it in the summer now. They get very, very, very little time. But in the NFL, they get a little more, but the season's longer.
It's funny because when I started the podcast, my daughter, who happens to be here, and Frank's daughter, who happens to be here also, they got together and they were like, hey, we should get our dads together for the podcast. So it was, I don't know, what was it, the prom? The prom.
They had a dance function.
Yeah, and it was like a weird when people try and get try and match up friends, like to get them together like a couple. And you end up being at the same place, and they're like, hey, look, they're here. You guys should talk to each other. So they did that to us.
We were upstairs in the living room.
Yeah. They did that to us. I could see them out of the corner staring at us talking, which made it even more awkward. But we exchanged numbers and stuff, and I hit you up. It might have been around this time last year.
Yeah.
And he's like, I can't come in. I'm already back.
I'm already back at State College.
He's already back at Penn. Penn State was the last place. He actually, you're retired now.
I retired the end of March.
Yep.
I had been away from my wife and my daughters for the better part of 4 years. I coached at the Colorado State in 2021. And then I went to Penn State in 2022, and I still love football dearly. But I woke up in March 23rd, a Sunday, and I was soon to be 67 years old, and I was like, I think it's time. Sarah, my youngest daughter, who is very close with your daughter, is going to South Carolina, so my wife would be in the house by herself.
Yeah.
And again, after 45 years of coaching, and that level of football has changed, and many will say not for the better. The game is still a wonderful game. What's gone into the game in major college football is a little bit disheartening. If you talk to older guys like myself, I'm sure if you follow football, you've probably heard Coach Saban talk about it, a lot of older guys. So I decided to retire from that level, from those hours. I worked for 45 years, most of the year, as my daughter would tell you, probably 16-hour days. Wow. And many during the season and during spring, probably 7 days a week. And so I just figured it was time to go home to be with my wife, temper it down a little. So I retired. And then I am coaching at a small school in Dudley, Massachusetts called Nichols College.
Yeah.
And so that kind of keeps me in it, like I said earlier.
So you're not really retired.
Nah, I know. That's what they're like, you're not retired. I go, oh, yeah, I'm retired.
You're just coaching closer to home.
Yeah, closer to home, and I'm not working quite the hours like I told the head coach of Nichols, who I coached 35 years ago at the University of Connecticut.
No way.
I said, Coach Marino, I'm not working till 11 o'clock at night anymore. So it's a little different.
Yeah.
But I still go there. Like somebody just asked me the other day, somebody back at Penn State, like, well, how often are you going to go? And I think maybe even your daughter on the ride over asked Mr. Leonard, how? I said, no, I'm still going every day, but the season's only in Division III, 10 weeks, which is nice. So I'm semi-retired.
Yeah. So when you talk about the stuff that's different, is it more the NIL stuff with the players?
Exactly.
And the portal?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, it's the NIL.
Uh-huh.
It's the portal.
Yeah.
And it's now in these big-time schools, they have revenue sharing. And so there's different avenues which the players can earn money, which, listen, even guys that have been in it as long as I've been in it, none of us guys that are in our 60s, 70s, none of us don't think paying the players is it's not a bad thing.
Right.
It's the way it's gone about. It's very, I would say, haphazard. I think guys in college football, they try to say, well, it's pro football now. And I've been in pro football on both sides of the aisle in pro football, and I've been in college football. And I just laugh, and not in an arrogant way. It's nothing like pro football. Pro football has so much more structure, whereas right now in college football with NIL, revenue sharing, the portal, it's just like there's kids that have been to 4 colleges already, and they've only been in college for 2 years.
Yeah.
So that's what makes it challenging. I think they're trying to, and it will happen when, I'm sure in the next few years, give it a little more structure so it can't be so devastating on the coaches, the players, the families. It's tough now. It's tough. And it's just, it's tough. And we're taking away why we all went into coaching, developing of young men. And now it's like, hey, if this doesn't work out, there's guys that have gone to schools and after one semester, I'm leaving.
Yeah.
And they think they can take their money, but they can't. And they don't realize they have to pay taxes on this money. So it's different. I didn't mean to elaborate that long, but it's different.
Because I argued with that like with the portal stuff, the NIL, it's like they almost went from one extreme to another extreme, and they have to find something in the middle. But
that's right.
With the portal stuff, I said I'm not a huge fan because that kind of takes away from, I guess, life skills like resilience and stuff like that, where you're the coach.
Yeah.
Let's say a player has a bad game and you're like, hey, this guy over here is kind of stepping up in your position. I'm going to put him in it as a starter if you don't step up. Instead of saying, okay, I'm going to step it up so I can continue and maintain my position, he's like, well, I'm just going to go to this other team. They'll start me.
You're spot on.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're spot on. That and that's what I meant earlier when I said the development of young men. Listen, you and I, everybody in this room, even our daughters are entering that world. We've all had some challenges where things haven't gone exactly our way.
Absolutely.
Well, now they can just walk away.
Right.
Whereas we had to overcome them. Might not have always been the turnout we wanted, but we had to the best of our ability, overcome those challenges. And now they're just walking away. And so we're really creating another generation of young men who are being enabled. Now, there's still a bunch of great kids, and there still are guys that are sticking it out, but it's sure very enticing if it's not going their way to just walk away.
Yeah, and also it must make recruiting more challenging.
Oh God, yeah.
Because I've heard stories of, there are obviously the players who they're just like, what are you going to give me? And I'll come to your school. But then, I've heard stories of players who said, the coach came to my house and said, I'm going to give you a chance. And that almost drew them to go there to prove that they should be on the team.
Yeah.
It must be a lot more challenging now when guys are just kind of like, almost like they're free agents in the pros. Well, what are you going to give me to come to your school?
Exactly.
It probably comes from a place of ego.
Absolutely.
When they haven't even stepped up to the plate to prove themselves in that level.
Listen, in their defense, if I'm 18 years old, I'm going to probably have that attitude too.
Yeah.
Like, you're not really thinking the other way.
Did you hear about that kid? You might know about him. He was like #1 in the country, and he's going to BYU now. I think his name's Ryder Lyons. He was like, he was like some kid, and he was like out of California and like #1 in the country.
Yeah.
And everyone thought he was going to go to Oregon, but he chose BYU, and everyone was like confused as to why. But everyone saw it as like he'll get way more playing time at BYU, so that'll give him more exposure for the NFL draft in 4 years.
Yeah.
So it's like what you just said. Some young guys, they walk into it ego driven.
Yeah.
What are you gonna give me? How much? Things like that, especially when you're talking college. But then also you have to factor in many other things that probably normal people don't know about. So could you dive in on that?
Well, here's the biggest problem. And if you've talked to coaches, the biggest problem, and I'm going to say this very tactfully, so I don't offend anybody, but the biggest problem is the parents. The parents who may struggle in life a little, they see their son as the ticket. They're not maybe the most upstanding human beings. The uncles that somehow have, and the aunts who have come out of the woodwork. We've seen this in all professions, but we see the guys. There were at one time in football, street agents, and so now they're billing themselves as real agents. And Moose, you said it. I mean, it's ego. Everybody in this room has an ego, but some of us are able to keep it in check.
Yeah.
Well, now it's fine. Again, it used to be when you coached in Division III. Okay, I'm gonna kind of veer off here. Your challenge was, I couldn't get on you that hard. I couldn't coach you that hard. I could, but you had to be very careful. Because why? Well, they're paying their own way.
Yeah.
And they're working 50 hours a week to go to said Division III school. So it got to the point where, and this was even 45, 50 years ago, they're like, well, I don't love football anymore. I'm going to walk away because it got too hard.
Yeah.
Now, that was few and far between.
Because they know it's not like their future in the long term.
That and the fact they didn't like the difficulty of it.
Yeah.
Well, now Division I coaches are dealing with the same thing, but it's a different. Either the player is not getting enough money, or you're coaching that kid hard, and he doesn't exactly like the way you're coaching him. So instead of sticking it out and adjusting, and he's like, "No, I don't like the demeanor. I'm gonna go somewhere else."
Yeah.
So that's a challenge, another added challenge. We're in the same boat that Division III coaches were in for 100 years, just for a little bit different reasons, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
What made you get into coaching in the first place?
Okay. All right. So I'm a pretty direct guy. So I'm going to tell you. So I went to college.
Yeah.
And I played at a Division II school, and I had a really good freshman year.
What position?
I was a wide receiver my freshman year.
Yeah.
Okay. I was the captain of the freshman team, or we had game captains. And I was a townie. Do you know what a townie is?
I mean, for me, a townie is somebody who lived.
Commuted.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So my hometown friends were my blood.
Where are you from?
I'm from a small town called Wethersfield, Connecticut, a southern suburb of Hartford. Okay. So to this day, my hometown friends are like my blood.
Yeah.
So I go to this Central Connecticut, great school in New Britain, Connecticut, was very patient with me. I flunk out of school bad. And so I had a red shirt. And so what I did is I helped the freshman coach at Wethersfield High until I got my grades back up and got back on Central Connecticut's team. I helped the freshman team, the high school freshman team coach. And I was like, well, now, I always loved football since I was 5 years old. I was like, whoa, this is pretty cool now. I think I'm going to be a high school football coach and high school phys ed teacher. So I got back on the team, finished my eligibility, which was in 1980. They moved me to defensive back, which I loved playing defensive back.
Yeah.
And when I graduated, I played 1 year. A lot of us did at the time, kind of corny, but played a little semi-pro football. Had a ball. It's the first time I'd ever been around when I played semi-pro in Hartford, Connecticut, a diversified team, which was a tremendous experience for me. Yeah. Tremendous, eye-opening experience. But I played for 1 year, and then, and during that year, 1981, I actually was a substitute teacher at Wethersfield High, and I coached football for the high school. And then the following year, a coach had called me, a Division III coach, about coaching at this Division III school called Western Connecticut in Danbury, Connecticut. And then I've coached at that level or pro ever since 1982.
Just off to the races after that?
I just loved it. And I loved that it was all ball. Yeah. And I didn't have to teach class. And I just, now recruiting was the other challenge. That can be, that can be challenging. But I just had a passion for it from a very, very young age. And I was very fortunate because I had gone through some very tough times. I was very fortunate that my father was very supportive, Italian guy that was not a loud guy, very, fought in World War II, but very supportive, very patient with me through my trials and tribulations. Yeah. And it took me a while. Like my daughters often will say to me, well, Dad, because your daughter, everybody, they want to make $1 million. And they look at you and they're like, well, Dad, you're success. I'm like, are you kidding me? Do you know what the first 20 years of my career was like? So I had some, well, as we all had, I'm sure you guys have had some rough, tough times. But you, because of your passion, you fight through it. Our daughters will probably find their passion. And, you just stick through it.
Yeah, well, that's what it is. That's literally the reason I started this, because I think a lot of younger people, because of social media and stuff, they'll see basically a person's highlight reels, and they'll be like, I want to be there tomorrow. And it's like, no, you don't go 0 to 10. You go 0 to 1 to 2, then fall back to 1, 1 to 2 to 3, fall back to 1, to 2 to 3 to 4, fall back to 2. And that's just how life works.
No doubt.
I
was just on a program the other day, and you probably don't know this term. You're probably too young, and I don't mean that derogatorily, but I was a restricted earnings coach for 7 years. And I just kept battling till I got the position I wanted. And that was a battle now. That was a battle.
What does that mean? Like you can only make a certain amount of money?
Yeah. Okay. So it was a time period in the 90s, maybe late 80s to the mid to late 90s, that you worked, but you could only make so much money.
Yeah.
You could some of the jobs had benefits, health benefits. Some of the jobs did not have health benefits. And so I did that for 4 years at the University of Connecticut. Really good job. But I think I made, what was it, from 90 to 93, I think I made maybe $10,000, $12,000 a year.
Wow.
Then I went to the University of Richmond, down in Richmond, Virginia, and I did the same thing for 3 years, and I maybe made $12,000.
And what was your position?
Well, at UConn, I coached the outside linebackers. I coached with Steve Spagnuolo, who's the defensive coordinator of the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yep.
Head coach was Tom Jackson. And so I did that for 4 years, and I'm very close with Coach Spags. Great guy. Was done a tremendous amount for me in my career. Yeah. Actually coached the tight ends at the Rams when he was the head coach of the Rams. Okay. And then at Richmond, my first 3 of my 10 years, I was restricted earnings. I coached the offensive line until I was bumped up to full salary and all that. Mm-hmm. But as you know, and I'm sure you guys have run into it, you got to be a mentally tough son of a bee now to be like, holy mackerel. Yeah. I always tell the cute story about, if I don't know if this will interest your listeners. So I'm sitting there, and there was a fella, an older gentleman. This was in the mid-'90s. Yeah. He's a basketball coach, and he's going to coach at a Division I basketball program. So basketball had restricted earnings jobs. FCS, 1AA, had restricted earnings jobs. And they told him, you're going to be restricted earnings. You could only make so much money. And this fellow was like, what are you talking about? That's unconstitutional. So he got a law firm from California and had a lawsuit against the NCAA. So the NCAA, this firm, had to find all these 1AA football coaches, which I was, and these basketball coaches, and they filled out this paperwork. This law firm was suing the NCAA. Yeah. So I had to fill out this paperwork, and they called me, and they wanted me to testify in Kansas City about how this was detrimental to my family.
So it was like a class action type of
Yes!
thing? Oh, wow.
So I was like, I'll never forget, I was at my desk at Richmond. Now, I was full-time now. I elevated from restricted earnings. So this law firm started asking me a bunch of questions like, we want you to come to Kansas City. We have a plane ticket for you to testify because the trial was in Kansas City. And I'm like, no, I'll do it again if I have to. I don't care. So literally, they were like, never mind. And then, you don't have to come to Kansas City. So then we started getting this paperwork. And we had to fill out where we were, what we made, blah, blah, blah. So I filled it out, sent it back. I never thought ever they were ever going to give you back pay. So I received some information. And so I called what I thought was the secretary of this law firm in California. So I said, listen, I got this woman who answered the phone. I said, ma'am, I said, you probably don't know who I am. And it wasn't a secretary. It was one of the lawyers. And I said, ma'am, and this was probably in 98, 97, 98. I said, you probably don't know who I am. I said, but you have the wrong information. My name is Frank Leonard. And this person on the other end of the line in California said, oh, no, Mr. Leonard, I know exactly who you are. You're going to be awarded one of the largest sums in the country. And I'm like, come on. All right. So honest to God, right over my head. And a bunch of guys in the profession are like, oh, we're going to get money. We're going to get money. I'm like, they're not going to give us money. We chose to do this. Yeah. No one held a gun to our head, said, you have to be restricted earnings. I go, there's no way. A year later comes. I get this envelope from the NCAA. I think it's probably offensive line legislation about blocking or something. I open this envelope. And this had to be in the spring of 98 or 99, and it's a check for $78,000.
Oh, damn. Okay.
So I was like hyperventilating. So I just laughed. I brought it into the head coach. I invested it. But I had to do that for 7 years now to stay into coaching. And that could be mentally challenging now.
So at what point, because now you hear about coaches getting stupid money. Oh, at what point did that change?
It changed, I would say. That's a great question. I would say the stupid money, as you coined it, started happening around 10 years ago.
Okay.
See, I would be, with guys I've worked with, and I'm like, but along with that, with the stupid money, the crazy money, came if you didn't win in 2 and 3 years, like of your generation and this generation now, you're getting fired. Whereas years ago, 5, 6 years, go through the tough times. Now, because they're paying you that money, you don't produce, whether you're a head coach or an assistant, you're getting fired after 3 years. You see it in the NFL every year. You see it in college football. Now coordinators are getting fired. Position coaches are getting fired. Yeah. So with that wonderful money goes some consequences. Now, along with that, in my opinion, and many in my profession agree, there's a different clientele coming into coaching. Used to be a bunch of phys ed guys, a bunch of guys that just loved ball because they didn't want to leave football.
Yeah.
They
didn't want
to grow up.
Yeah.
Exactly what I was going to say. Well, now some cats are starting to see, whoa, big money. So they might have been engineers, lawyers, doctors, but they loved football, but they wanted that money. So they became engineers, lawyers, and doctors. Now they're looking like $2 million, $1 million, $12 million these head coaches are making now in college. I think I'm going to be a football coach.
Yeah.
And so there are some guys in it, not a lot of guys, they love football. I'm not sure what their end game is. Our end game was to develop young men, stay in the game, not grow up, as you said. And which, hey, that's the truth.
Yeah.
Their end game is, no. I'm going to climb till I get that $12 million contract.
Yeah.
So I think it started, I went through a long dissertation. I think it started 10 to 15 years ago. Right. Now, I've always said they're paying us too much money. We're just, and James Franklin at Penn State, he always said, this is what Frank always said. And I mean this with all sincerity to the core of my heart. We're just overpaid phys ed teachers. Come on, man. Don't take yourself so seriously. Come on, man. We're just overpaid phys ed teachers.
Yeah.
And that's what I truly believe. Now, again, nothing wrong with being proud of being a football coach or a phys ed teacher.
Yeah.
Great. But the point is, these guys, I remember it was about 7 years ago, every Thursday is when you can be home with your family. I was at Boston College, and some coaches were getting in trouble, and we were at the dinner table, and my daughters asked me, Dad, what's with these guys? I said, here's the problem. These guys think they're scientists. They're creating the answer for cancer. I said, we said it earlier in the program, they got way too big of egos. Yeah. They think they're way more important than they really are. We're overpaid phys ed teachers. That's what we are.
What do you think makes a better coach? Because I have my own little theory on this.
This is going to be a great question.
And somebody who in their playing career was more average, or somebody who was a superstar as a player?
That's a great question. Great question. My opinion doesn't mean I'm right. My opinion is the guys, not all of them, but as I view it, the guys that were great players, the greater percentage of time, can't struggle a little with adapting to developing a guy that doesn't quite have the talent that he had. The guys that
you're verbalizing. Yeah. I always say, I always go, a superstar, there's a lot of things that they do naturally, and if they look at somebody who's works hard and everything but doesn't have it, in their head they're thinking like, why can't you just get that?
Exactly right.
So okay.
Yeah, and I think the guys that have battled their way are the guys that maybe didn't have quite the academic, the smarts in layman's terms.
Yeah.
They're more apt to be patient. And now patient could be drive them, patient could be love them, patient could be talk to them than the first guys we talked about. I really sincerely believe that. And we have a saying, that, it's easy. I worked with a guy at the University of Richmond, okay? Great guy, Jeff Hansen. And Richmond is a very good school academically. And he always used to say, these professors, same at Harvard, Yale, all these great schools, they want to teach the guy or the gal that has 1,400 on the SATs. They don't want to teach the guy or the gal with 980 on the SATs because that's too hard to work. Right. It's exactly the question you're asking me.
Yeah.
These guys want to deal with the guy that's natural. They don't want to deal with the guy that struggles a little. Mm-hmm. Well, it's, you're paid to deal with the guy that, whether it's mentally or physically, struggle with. You're making all that money to get that guy to play. Not everybody's going to be a 5-star. Not everybody's going to be a first-round draft pick. Yeah, so that's I answered your question in elaborate terms.
No, I like it. So now, for yourself personally as a coach, do you prefer coaching just that natural, unbelievable, just, okay, this guy's definitely going to make it to the next level and succeed talent, or more the guy who has to go in there and earn it every day?
Yeah, I enjoy coaching the guy, whether he's talented, whether he's not talented. I enjoy coaching the guy who's going to work at it.
Yeah.
Work at it. I always tell people, I'm not, my daughters, my wife, they're smart cats now. I'm not the smartest guy in the world. And I don't mean that like, oh, woe is me. I mean that what I had to do to get good at the game was study it real hard. And I'm still studying it at 67 years old. I like being around the guys that are going to spend time working at the game, physically and mentally. Those are the kids I like being around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you believe that it's always, because people say, like, no matter what you want to do, whether it's like sports or something you're good at, do you, like, people always say you got to put your reps in.
Yeah.
I believe in that personally. I do think at whatever you want to be passionate about, sports, your career, anything, you do have to put in your reps. I don't think it's just that. I think people mistake. It's like when you're working out. You can do so many reps of something, but if your form is wrong, you're not building muscle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So in your sense,
go ahead.
What else is it? Because it can't just be showing up to practice. He's half hour early. He's giving it his all. He could be doing all that, but still he's not getting it, or something isn't tweaking correctly. Is there? Because I feel like there has to be some sort of thing where a coach sees and he's like, he's not, snapping quick enough. He's not doing this, and it's just that one little thing that'll really shoot them off.
I think I can answer your question. I think I know what you're asking me. As a matter of fact, yes, I do know what you're asking me. Here's where I think a lot of guys and a lot of people, no matter what profession, but we're talking football. If they study film, if they study their iPad, they don't even have notebooks anymore. They all have iPad. Everything's on iPad. If they study that, and we talk about this all the time, if they're in their dorm room working on a certain step, working on, that's how you can make that jump. Those are the real guys. The guys that we always say love ball. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Those are the, it's more than that now. If you want to be great, and if you're struggling, it can't be just on the practice field. It can't just be in the meeting room at the football office. It's got to be in your dorm. If you're a pro football player, in your apartment. Those dudes in pro football, it's 24/7 now. Those guys are trying to make millions of dollars. They're trying to make a 53-man roster. They're in their rooms, their apartments. They're studying their fannies off. And now, in major college football, these kids at Penn State, they don't want to play pro football. They have to play pro football. It's their passion, just like we're talking about coaches' passion. It's their passion. So they're literally spending 24/7, because they choose to, trying to be pro football players. And they're doing it, going back to their dorms, studying their iPad, and putting a ton of work away from the football building to be great or to be successful.
Yeah, I agree.
Don't you feel like we're two not so good college football players, and he's trying to hype us up right now, telling us to step our game up?
Yeah.
No.
I'm like, sorry, coach.
I was just telling you.
I'll be better tomorrow.
Well, no, because I asked you that because I hate when I hear that sometimes. I'm like, yeah, put in the. If you strive for something, like your heart, I believe if you meet someone and they're going towards something they're passionate about, they are a hard worker, because they wouldn't. Because if not, they would just take the easy route. They'd be like, no, even though that's what I want to do, it's hard. They're a hard worker. It's not just the reps and the time, whether you're on the field or not, or whatever you want to do. It's literally, it takes over your life.
Yeah.
It's, you want to do it regardless. You know what I mean?
And you also have to be able to compartmentalize, because at that stage in your life, I mean, I've said this to my daughter. I said it to my son. I said it to my other daughter who's in college, and I'll say it to my other kids when they get older about going to college. Obviously, I want you to go there, study, get good grades or whatever. But the thing I care about the most is you learning as much as you can about life and experiencing as much as possible. And I break it down to them. I say, as you get older and more of an adult, it's more than this. But at your age, it's basically personal, school, and work.
Yeah.
You know, or sport, whatever. And if I said to you, okay, balance that out for me, you're going to say, oh, easy, a third personal, a third school, a third work. You're going to be, and you're going to learn that day by day that changes.
Fluctuates.
Yeah, you know, you know what your schoolwork, your grades aren't as good. You got to crank up that schoolwork to about 70% and bring down the other two. Oh, your girlfriend or your boyfriend saying to you, hey, if we don't hang out, I'm going to go hang out with someone else. All of a sudden, you got to crank up that level. So I think when it comes to that, sometimes the kids are coming in there and they need to kind of like go, okay, be present, especially now when people are just getting so much information overload 24/7. It must be, they need to somehow be able to go, okay, I'm present. I'm at practice. My girlfriend's mad at me. I got to put that away. My science teacher says I gotta study extra. I gotta put that away. I gotta focus just on this.
Yeah. Well, that's what's the huge challenge.
Yeah.
To elaborate a little what Moose was saying, I worked for a guy, Steve Adazio, my best friend, and to be great, he would say, "It's got to be your world. It's got to be your world." And we always say, "What are you doing out of the building?" You know. As a, opposed to we know what you're doing in the building. What are you doing out of the building? And now to remember, to elaborate on what you're talking about right now. Okay, so these kids are getting paid, and in college, and you know what? They deserve it because they're making a tremendous amount of money for these universities, and it's just what you said. They're expected to produce at a high level. But at the same time, they're in the classroom every day. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're expected to, they cannot be, and I'm not trying to be funny, they can't be staggering down Main Street drunk.
Right.
You know, like the normal student body can. And not that their parents want them to do that, but their lives are different now. Mm-hmm. Their lives are totally different, and that's not easy for these kids. And you've got to commend them for, you hear about a few of them that fail, but there's 99% of them that are doing just what you talk about.
Yeah.
But and so because I always used to tell the kids everywhere I've been, we would be at our meeting rooms, or we would see the normal student body walking down the street. And I always tell them, at Boston College, the meeting room used to overlook, Main Street or right down the center of campus. I used to tell the kids, look outside. They'd look outside. I said, you see those kids out there? They're not you, and you're not them. But they're no better than you, and you're no better than them. You're just different. Your world is different. You got to be, the term everybody uses now, I don't even know how this term can, you've got to be buttoned up. Yeah. Meaning you can't make the mistakes Johnny Rotten's making because his parents are sending him to Dartmouth, and so he could just, I don't feel like going to class today.
Yeah.
Well, the football players, and I'm sure the other athletes, they're saying he's got to be in class because there's a coach or there's an academic person checking every class they're in. The normal kids, God bless them, that ain't happening. Your daughter and my daughter, when your daughter goes to BC next year and my daughter goes to South Carolina, no one's checking them. If they don't want to go to class, they don't have to go to class.
You better go to class.
That's what that's what Well, Maria, I know Maria, my oldest daughter. Every once in a while, I ain't going to class. I'm like, Maria, I ain't paying that money for you not to go to class. No, you know what I mean?
That's funny. So who is the best, because you've worked with some big name coaches, including Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
By the way.
Yeah.
Who is as far as you personally, who was your favorite coach and why?
Oh, God, I've worked with some.
And then I have a Belichick follow-up just because Belichick.
Yeah. Steve Spagnuolo is a terrific coach.
Yeah.
Steve Adagio, tough guy, tremendous coach. Joe Cullen, tremendous coach, the D-line coach of the Kansas City Chiefs. Over the Paul Pasqualoni. The older listeners will know who he was, longtime coach of Syracuse when Syracuse was in its heyday, the head coach, longtime NFL coach, tremendous coach. I've been around some special guys. The offensive coordinator at Penn State, Andy Kolonicki, is a very talented man. I've been around some good guys. Yeah. Coach Scarnecchia, the retired offensive line coach.
Dante Scarnecchia?
Yeah, Dante Scarnecchia is probably just production alone, and I've sat in his meetings. I had a kind of a different job when I was at New England. Just a great teacher. So I've been around a few really. Josh McDaniels, very talented guy, very intelligent guy.
Yeah.
So I've been around. I know I listed maybe too many, but I've been around. In 45 years, I've been around a lot of guys.
Well, who connected with you? And the reason I ask is because growing up for myself, I'm not going to say I was a juvenile delinquent, but let's just say I didn't really play sports. I got good grades in school because I figured out the pattern kind of just retain whatever information they're giving me now and then spit it out 2 weeks later on a test or a quiz. Like I figured out that.
Done that.
and then let it. Then you could just let that information leak out of your brain and just put it in new. I just figured out the pattern. So, but when I was in school, I never had a teacher, and because I didn't really play sports, I never had a coach who kind of became like a mentor figure to me. Yeah. I didn't have that until I got into radio, and he's actually my program director now, but he was, when I first started, also my program director. He was the first guy, Cadillac, who I was like, oh, wait, that's like what a mentor. I didn't know it at the time, but just I was drawn to it because he kind of, not because he was like, you're awesome. It was more like he said, all right, you have some talent at this, and if you work at it, you can make something of yourself, but I'm not going to make it easy on you.
Yeah.
So because long story short, even to this day, I always find myself almost trying to like impress him in a way.
Sure.
Oh
God.
So
absolutely.
That's what I mean. That's why I was drawn to him. And I would say, like, if someone said, who was your first mentor? I'm like, him. When I turned, like, after I was like 18, finally when I met him. But who was yours as far as when you started coaching?
That's a great question. I can answer that. So the first guy was my high school football coach, my junior and senior year. And there's a lot of people in my town that don't have the feeling towards him that I do. Mm-hmm. He was tough.
Yeah.
Tough Irish dude. He was almost beyond tough. And there's a lot of people in my hometown. His name is Rick McNamara. And there's people in my hometown, quite frankly, that aren't huge fans of his. But I was. I too got frustrated. But man, he was tough. So the rest of the things, when I went to college and played, it wasn't easy.
Yeah.
But this dude puts you through the mill, and so I appreciated that. Where I'm not sure some of my classmates, teammates in high school saw it the way I saw it. Doesn't mean I'm right and they're wrong. Or
everybody connects with people for different reasons.
Then my college coach, a guy by the name of George Redmond, has since passed away. When I was wallowing in mediocrity, in academics, where people were like kind of looking at me like sideways, like, what's your deal, man? Come on, just, And he was very patient with me. And so I forever indebted, and I actually got a chance to go back to my alma mater and coach with him. And then in recent years, there's a guy who is one of my best friends, certainly Coach Adagio, tough on me, pushed me beyond my limits. I'm a big Brian White fan. Brian White was a quarterback for Harvard. His dad was long time successful Massachusetts high school coach. Very, very supportive of me. And certainly Spags and James Franklin, the head coach of Penn State, are guys that have, I've gotten a piece from them. But really my high school coach, George Redmond, and really Coach Adagio, like he's my college teammate, and he and I have been nose to nose, and my boss for 10 years.
Yeah.
and we've been nose to nose, almost fist fights, and cussing each other out. But he pushed me beyond my limits as a football coach. Yeah. He made me very uncomfortable knowing that I could get into that realm and succeed. Does that make any sense?
It definitely makes sense. 100%.
Yeah, that's a fact.
Yeah.
As much as man, this dude is a pain in, Ryan Day had to split us up in a fight, on Boston College's practice field. But he pushed me to limits that I didn't think I could attain. That's a fact. Yeah. Now, there's people like my high school coach that are like, oh, that Coach Adagio, he was too tough. He was this. He was too opinionated. He's all that. Yeah. But he pushed me, and I'm able to live some of the life I lead. Jim Reed, not a lot of your Massachusetts listeners will know, gave me a big break at the University of Richmond. He's a guy that was been tremendous in my life, and but Steve Adagio really grinded and pushed me, to uncomfortableness.
Speaking of big breaks, I was going to ask you, what was your first big break as far as your coaching career?
See, that's a great question. I know I keep saying it. My daughter's looking at it. Personally, I think a big break was going to coach at that Division III school, but really is when Jim Reed at the University of Richmond in 1996 took a chance on me to coach the offensive line. I had gone to Richmond, coached the offensive line for a year. The head coach got fired. Coach Reed came in, made me the running backs coach, kept me, made me the running backs coach, and then prior to the 97 season, 96 or 97, moved me back to offensive line. And I think that was a guy that took a chance on me. We had some success. I had begun to feel, people had begun to kind of like, hey, this guy does a good job. And then certainly when I went to Kansas State and Ron Prince, the head coach, who was a tough guy, hired me. Sarah was just born in December. I went to Kansas State. And that was at 47 years old. Like these kids nowadays, they all want to be 1A coach, FBS coaches at like 32.
Right.
I always tell people, I was 47 when I first got my first FBS job.
Wow.
47 years old. And Ron Prince gave me that job. And so getting that job. Going to the Patriots, though. Now, my role at the Patriots, that really springboarded me to getting some opportunities, as I said on a previous program that I had done, that has springboarded me to people kind of, look at you like, oh, okay, yeah.
What was your role? And
my role was from 2004 to 2006. What I did for the Patriots was they called my title was a special assignment scout.
Okay.
And what I did for the New England Patriots, the GM, they really don't have a GM, but the GM, quote unquote, was a guy named Scott Pioli, who I coached in college. Okay, and he was at the time, I forgot what his real title was, but he ran the personnel department at the Patriots.
He ended up going to like the Falcons?
Falcons. Well, he went to the Kansas City Chiefs, then the Falcons.
Okay,
now he works a lot with Good Morning America or Good Morning Pro Football. Good Morning Football Talk, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Works for, I think, CBS but anyway, he called me in the spring of 2004, and he said, Coach, I know you're coming up for a day. We'd like you to come up for a couple of days. And I said, I don't know. He called me the next day. He goes, Coach, here's why. Spring of 2000, why we'd like to hire you. I go, well, what do you want, what do you want me to do for you, And then he said, because I was out of work.
Okay.
And the head coach at Richmond had left. I was out of work. So I was kind of visiting places like you do when you're out of work. You have your face seen. And I went to Philadelphia where Coach Spags was at the time. I went up to Syracuse. And he said, Coach, we'd like you to come here for 2 days because we'd like to hire you. We're going to create a position for you. And you are going to spend time with Coach Scarnecchia. And you're going to learn what we look for in drafting offensive linemen. So I did that. I went there in 2004, and I spent 4, 5, and 6. I never had a contract. I shook Scott Pioli's hand, Coach Belichick's hand. Never said. They said, you got to give us 2 years. I said, I'll give you 2 years. And the organization was tremendous to me. Mm-hmm. So I spent 2 years, and then I went back a third year before going back to college football, Kansas State. And I traveled the country. I knew what the Patriots were looking for when it came to drafting offensive linemen, and I evaluated college offensive linemen at all the top schools in the country.
Yeah.
My second and third year, I was on a plane. My God, I know as you get older, you tend to embellish, but I swear I was on a plane 3 to 4 times a week.
So you're watching them at practice and games?
Yeah, what I'm doing is I sat in the springtime at the Patriots. I was able to sit on all Coach Belichick's team meetings, mm-hmm. all Josh McDaniels' unit meetings, and all Coach Scarnecchia's position meetings. So I got a real feel for what they, were looking for. I kept my mouth shut and I listened, and I had coached the offensive line. So then, to answer your question, I would, like in the middle of August, get on a plane, and I would go to, let's say, I'd go to, LSU, mm-hmm. and I would go down there, and I knew that they had a player, so I was going to watch this offensive lineman in practice.
Yeah,
I was going to get my own evaluation. How did he practice? How was he accepting coaching? Then I would talk to the head coach.
Yeah.
Then I would talk to the position coach. Then I would talk to the strength coach. Then I would talk to the trainer. And I would write a report and send it back to New England, get on a plane, and go to Alabama, go to Penn State, go to USC. I was all over the country.
Yeah. So what was the framework that they were looking for? So besides physical, they're probably just like, okay, we want a guy this size, this weight, or whatever. What type of...
Was he smart and was he tough?
Was he smart?
Was he smart and was he tough?
How do you determine smart and tough watching them?
When you got him on a grease board and you asked him questions.
Okay.
First of all, you've got that from the position coaches.
Yeah.
Now, sometimes they'll kind of hide that if he's not so smart.
Yeah.
So you got to do your digging.
Yeah.
Okay, in the various people you talk to in the building.
So you'll kind of like show them a play or a scenario,
yes,
and say, okay, in this scenario,
as the process go along, and you have an interest in this fella. Now he comes to the Senior Bowl, he comes to the Combine.
Yeah.
So now you get him on the board, and you have interest in him, and now you put up a play, erase the play, have him put up the play that you just drew up. See how much he could remember.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. What's his regurgitation? Mm-hmm. How can he? What you talked about? How you succeeded in school?
Besides the physical, I'd be awesome at that.
How you can You just talked about that about 10 to 15 minutes ago. How you can throw back that information?
Right.
If they stammered and stuttered.
Yeah.
You're like, At that organization, which they all look for that, but the Patriots did a wonderful job with their everybody being on the same page, and me being just a small piece of it. But I was very fortunate that they treated me very well, and I had succeeded in evaluating some guys in the initial stages, and they had gone on to have some success there.
So what was, you said smart and tough, what would be considered tough?
Well, tough is you're not taking a lot of time off from practice.
Yeah.
Tough is, you maybe get dinged up a little, nothing serious, but, you didn't make a big, you weren't dramatic about it. Mm-hmm. Tough is, when it was, your turn to perform and they had to run the ball on your side.
Yeah.
You performed your block, or you pass protected on, the best defensive end in the SEC. Mm-hmm. That's tough. Did I answer your question?
You did answer my question. So now you present these players because I'm always fascinated with how many, when you think of a football team, you think like the head coach, all right, then there's the coach for the defense, coach for the offense. But then after that, you got the coach for the wide receivers, you got the coach for the tight ends, you got the coach for the running backs.
Yeah.
You got the coach for the defensive line. How many coaches? And then there's your position, which it's like a scout, but like a specific scout.
Yeah, mine, and I don't mean this in a self-serving way, mine was at that time the only position, that the only guy of all, 32 teams that did this.
Yeah.
So consequently, I would go into buildings. I'd go into like Penn State, and I'd be sitting there because most scouting staffs in the NFL have a guy who does the Northeast, usually the youngest scout,
Yeah.
the Southeast, the most experienced guy, the Midwest, the Southwest, and the West. So they're area guys.
Okay.
And they had some crossover guys.
I thought scouting was literally go to a game,
No.
watch play. I didn't know it involved
very entailed.
all
So
of
I'd
that.
go in a building, and I would sit down with maybe 3-4 other scouts.
Yeah.
And I would just be looking at who's the guy the Patriots just drafted, the offensive lineman, whatever.
Yeah.
I'd be just looking at Matt Light or whoever. And I would be done. I'd put my pen down because you write notes. And the other scouts would be looking at me like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm done. And they'd be like, what do you mean you're done? Because they're looking at everybody.
Yes.
They're looking at the draft-eligible defensive back, the draft-eligible running back, whoever Penn State had, or whoever Boston College had. I said, no, I'm just looking at the Chris Lindstrom.
Yeah.
And they're like, what? Now, some of them were very intrigued and very welcoming. Some of them had some jealousy because all I was doing is looking at 1 or 2 guys. Mm-hmm. They're looking at 10 guys. Well, Thomas Dimitroff, who was the college director at New England, would say to me, yeah, they're jealous, but they're not on a plane 4 or 5 days a week.
Yeah.
So, so it was that's what I did. Did I answer? I don't think I answered that question. Go ahead.
No. I've always been interested in the process because I'm always like, who.
So there's a whole scouting staff.
Yeah, okay, because I was gonna say who comes to you and say, hey, there's this guy at Alabama, go check him out. Like, so there's a scout.
That's a good question.
Yeah,
so my first year, the college director, Thomas Dimitroff, who had a great career at New England and the Atlanta Falcons. His father's a longtime scout. Thomas Dimitroff, my first year, and Scott Pioli, but really Thomas Dimitroff, John Robinson, who was the longtime GM of the Tennessee Titans, would help me like, you got to go here this week. And then Nancy Meyer, who's just, I think, was still at the Patriots, would book all my flights and all my schedules. So I'd go. And then my second year, because now I had a year under my belt, I kind of knew from different reports that you get, and being on the road, when I was looking at this draft-eligible guy, what younger guys do you have? Oh, this kid is a sophomore. He's going to be really good. Well, I take his name down. So then I developed my own. I didn't need as much help from Thomas and some of the other scouts on New England staff. I developed my own, continuously with their help a bit. The next 2 years, where I was going. Then I would get the information, send it back. We had a draft board. Then in December, we'd have draft meetings. We'd whittle it down. And then that's how the draft
that is so freaking elaborate.
Yeah, it's very, very, very elaborate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I learned so much.
Wow.
I learned so much. And I did that for 3 years.
Yeah.
And then I went back to coaching. And then I remember when I was at Boston College, we went over to a mini camp. And I grabbed Coach Belichick, who was always very good to me.
Yeah.
And I said, Coach, I want to thank you. That job really was a great experience. And really, I think it put me in an advantage to obtain some other jobs. So I was very grateful.
So do you think that's what makes, when everyone talks about like what separates him from other coaches, is that he is even just that much more detail oriented? Or
I think honestly, there are a lot of guys in that league that are very, very detailed. I think Coach Belichick and just he listen. In my experience, at least the way I viewed it, number one, he's a very intelligent man. Okay, we hear that all the time about Bill Belichick, which it's the truth. Number two, from my observation being in the organization, he listens to everybody. He wants your input, and then obviously he makes his own decision. But he has a plethora of information to make that decision.
Yeah.
And so that's what I saw that made him and makes him successful.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so then after that, you went back to college.
Then I went back to college football.
Yeah.
I actually went back to college. I committed to Kansas State in December of 2006.
Yeah.
But the Patriots wanted me to finish my duties.
Yeah.
So I did. And the head coach of Kansas State, who was kind of a Patriot kind of guy, was like, yeah, sure, don't worry about it. I ended up going to Kansas State with my wife and 2 daughters. Sarah was newborn later. But prior to that, okay, it's like December. I'm at these all-star games. The Cleveland Browns wanted me to be the assistant O-line coach. Yeah. And the GM was we were at a East-West Shrine game, which was in Houston, Texas. And I was kind of trying to avoid him because I didn't want to. You got a chance to go to pro football. Yeah. And he wanted me to be the assistant line coach of the Browns. I was already committed to Kansas State. The Saskatchewan Roughriders of the Canadian Football League wanted me to be the offensive line coach.
Yeah.
And so I was avoiding these people and I remember Matt Millen.
The pretty girl at the dance. All the guys want to dance with her.
Yeah, I remember Matt Millen asked me, and Coach Skarnecki asked me, what are you going to do? And I said, I committed to Coach Prince at Kansas State. I'm not going to back out of my word, and I'm going to Kansas State. Yeah. And I remember Coach Skarnecki is saying to me, that's a good move. He said, you'll be back in the NFL coaching. And I said, and I didn't think too much of it, but he was right. I was, within 2 years, I was back in the NFL coaching for the Rams when they were in St. Louis.
So how do you, because you've been fired from jobs.
Oh, yeah.
And there's jobs that you've left voluntarily.
Yes.
What determines you going, okay, I'm ready to move on or whatever? Are you just always having people going, hey, come work for me?
No. I always tell people are very respectful of me now. I was telling my wife about a month ago. They're respectful because I lasted 45 years and I got gray hair. I'm just a guy that had a little perseverance, but what was your question?
I was going to ask as far as like, why do you get fired? And at what point do you consider moving on to different?
Good question. I don't mean this self-serving. I've never gotten fired personally. I've gotten fired when the head coach has gotten fired.
Oh, so then it's just like.
Then it's everybody.
And
now,
the guy's
there's
bringing
been
in all new people.
times where I won't mention the school, the head coach has gotten fired, and I had an opportunity, the coach coming in 3 times. The head coach coming in has wanted to retain me, but I didn't want to do that because I didn't, for various reasons. My main reasons were the loyalty to the person I was working for.
I see.
And then I think there was only one time in my career where I was at a place. Is that right? I think it's right. And I took an interview while still being employed. I was at Boston College, and the Detroit Lions, the head coach, who I speak to this day, Jim Caldwell, I love him. He wanted me to interview for the Detroit Lions job, and I went on the interview. I was very reluctant to go on the interview because I didn't want to leave Coach Adagio at Boston College, but it was pro football, coach, and so I elected to go on that interview and was offered the job, but didn't take the job. And so, did I answer your question?
You did. And so now, what does an interview look like for you? Like you come into a team.
Well,
So what are
I
they?
Tell you. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Great question. I am not the best X's and O's guys. The schematic. I know it because I've been doing it for so long, but that's not my strong point. So what is that interview like? That's a good question. So when Coach Caldwell called me from the Lions and he asked me to come interview, I said to him, I was on the road recruiting for Boston College in the middle of nowhere in Pennsylvania, farmland. And I asked him, I said, Coach, do you know anything about me? I said, because if you think I'm going to come there and wow you with X's and O's and be like all these hot shots that are in the NFL now, or Josh McDaniels who could draw up anything, I goes, I'm not doing that. I go, I'm not wasting your time and I'm not wasting my time. Now, if you want me to come out there and present to you, which I'm very comfortable with doing, in front of anybody, if Vince Lombardi rose from the dead, I'd be like, Coach, I got it. Don't worry about it. I'll do that. I'll have your tight ends or your O-line prepared for Sunday afternoon. That I can do. And I'm very comfortable with that, and I'm very confident. So my interviews, as I got older, I would be like, yeah, I'll come on the interview, but you get up and you explain your philosophy. Mm-hmm. And my philosophy is coach them hard, love them hard. Coach them hard, love them hard. Don't demean them, but you can MF them every once in a while if you have to. I mean, they gotta take the hill. You know what I mean? And that's your job. And so I would always talk about my philosophy and the way I coach. Now, they knew the way I coached. That's the way why they brought me there. And then I would talk about how I developed players. Mm-hmm. When I was working from my home for the Lions in 2020 during COVID and for Penn State, I was doing a little side work. Dan Quinn, who's now the head coach of the Washington Commanders. Yeah. He's the longtime coach of the Atlanta Falcons. We talked on the phone quite a number of times. And he said, tell me, because we competed against one another in college, in pro football when we were on different teams. And he said, tell me, you've always developed guys. How do you do it? Well, on interviews, I would show people and still travel around with young coaches now, how I developed players. And then I would talk about some scheme, some of the things I like in the run game, some of the things I like in the pass game. And those are, they'd be sometimes all-day interviews, sometimes half-day interviews. Yeah. And, I've interviewed with pro football teams, college football teams, some jobs I've got, some jobs I haven't got. But I think I did answer your question.
You did answer my question, yeah. So now when you're recruiting players in college, how's that? Because, for the scouting, you have people kind of coming to you and telling you to go look at these players.
Yeah.
Is it the same in college? They're saying, okay.
It is.
Go. So they have scouts looking at the high school players?
They have. Now in college, it's called the recruiting department.
Okay.
Same thing.
Yeah.
One's called scouting department. So now there's these massive, where it wasn't in the old days, I had Connecticut, I had Pennsylvania. I had to find out who the players were.
Yeah.
At these high schools.
Right.
You know what I mean? Now, they have these massive recruiting departments that send you out. You have to go to Everett. You have to go to St. John's. You have to go to, Weathersfield High. So you go there as a coach, and you go in the building, and you meet the kid, and you kind of get a feel what he looks like, height, weight, and then you find out his academics. You talk to him. You want to get him to your camps. In college football, everything is getting them to their camp.
Right.
Because you want them to their camp. You want to height, weight, speed them, and then you want to put them through, at BC, we put them, and Penn State, we put them through some tough summer camp now. Mm-hmm. They're all the top players in the country. You grind them. You want to see if they're going to break.
Right.
And if they break, you don't want them. Now, there's some guys I've made mistakes about, just like in the draft, people make mistakes. I've made mistakes, and but I've made less mistakes than I've made mistakes.
Yeah. It must be challenging, because for the high school level, there could be a kid who's the best player, not just in his school, not just in his city or town, the best player in his state. But then he'll go to the next level, and he's surrounded by kids who are all the best players in their state, or even if they were the best player in their school or town, they're somewhere. It's a place where football is just at a higher level. Yeah. So it just must be hard, because you're looking at a kid going, wow, he's just amazing at this small school where everybody else sucks.
Yeah. Yeah.
We got to put him in with a bunch of other kids at his level, see how they go.
Based off charisma alone, no athletic exposure at all, do you think we would make your team?
Yeah.
You think so?
Yeah.
Where are you putting me?
He's like, Al. He's like,
Slot receiver.
Yeah.
Slot receiver.
You want me to get killed? Thanks.
Field number 2. No. You'd be fine. You'd be like
I was
Dean
left
Hammond.
tackle in Pop Warner, so.
Is that right? And that's where you got the name Moose.
No, actually, no.
Should I ask?
They loved it. If you want to, they loved it that was my name. It was my name growing up, but actually, my first coach ever, he genuinely could not pronounce my first name at all.
Okay.
Because it's Mustafa, which I don't think is
couldn't
that.
pronounce Mustafa?
He could not.
I know. He'd have a tough
Some
time
guy
nowadays.
from freaking Revere. He just gave up quick, but then he heard my brother call me Moose,
Oh.
so he just went
right.
flying with it. But I think we'd make the team.
Yeah.
I think we'd make the team.
Yeah, I got some attributes.
Yeah. You look like you move around a little bit.
Hey, wakes up at 2 a.m. to work out. This guy.
I do.
Oh,
I
man.
do. Yeah. I mean, I'm on early in the morning, so I get
Jeez.
up early.
Oh, that's because you got to be in here early.
Yeah. So I know I
When
have.
do you go to bed?
I get into bed around 7,
Oh,
and I like to be asleep. I don't want to see 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
So
Can you fall asleep? Yeah, because you've been up since 2.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I have to take a nap. I am. You know what my good attribute is? I am extremely painfully disciplined.
Painfully, yeah.
Painfully disciplined. Like I wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning. I work out by myself in my basement. I have friends who will say, "Oh, I'll come work out with you at 2 in the morning," and I say, "No, why not?" I go because I back time whatever my day is.
Yeah.
To go, okay, if I need to be in the shower at this time, that means I need to be done working out at this time. I need to do, and I said, you're just gonna get in my way. You're just gonna, if you come over and work out with me, it's gonna take time out of my workout.
So I'm gonna interrupt you because
Okay.
I could tell. You asked me what a good recruiter, like I can just tell, and I mean this all sincerity. I can just tell by your presence, your demeanor, the way you dress, the way you keep yourself, that you are a disciplined guy.
I am.
The minute I walked in, I remembered you from the party, but the minute I walked in, I looked at him, I'm like, oh yeah, this guy's put together.
Yeah, I have zero.
Seriously, I can tell.
I have.
That's how you could tell.
Well, I have. I've always said I have zero talent, but I've always no. I literally my entire career, I will create, almost like a rivalry with somebody in my head, and when
toxic motivation.
No, and when I would get up, I'd be like, well, you know what? He might be naturally talented at this, but he's not getting up and doing this right now. He's not. You know,
I believe that.
Yeah,
I believe that. Yeah.
I take a nap every afternoon. It's ridiculous. With my youngest, I will. Up until this year, you know, I would put them to bed and then go to bed. Now, they will literally put me to bed. They're 6 and 8, and they're saying goodnight to me because they have a later bedtime.
Oh my! Are they girls or boys?
One boy, one girl.
Oh, God bless.
Yeah. I got them all over the place.
2 girls. Oh,
Yeah.
my God. I got 2 girls.
Oh, I have 2 boys and 3 girls.
No kids yet. No kids yet. That's how we keep it. Okay.
You want? I got to be careful. There's 2 dogs.
yeah.
Don't be sad if you get boys. If you have 2 girls or 3 girls, that's a battle now.
I can only imagine.
Oh no, you can't imagine.
He's like, actually, no,
you can't. You can't imagine. You have no idea.
What is it like when you're going to different jobs, and it's not just like a different job in your town? You're going to different states all over the country. What are you taking the family with you every?
That's another great question.
The whole
I
time?
keep saying that. My daughters
Yeah.
had been in 5 homes by the time I got to Boston College. My daughters were born in Richmond, Virginia.
Yeah.
Had a home in Richmond. My daughters, so they lived, she for about a month, Sarah for about a month. But so they were both born in Richmond, Virginia. Mm-hmm. They lived in that house. They both moved. Sarah was an infant. What were you, like 2 months old? When we went to Manhattan.
She doesn't know.
Manhattan, Kansas.
Yeah.
So we go to Manhattan, Kansas.
Yeah.
Home number 2. Nice home.
Okay.
Sarah and Maria, home number 3 in St. Louis, Missouri, St. Charles.
Okay.
We lived in a suburb. That's home number 3. Philadelphia. We actually lived in Moorestown, across the Jersey side when I coached at Temple. Home number 4. We rented this little bungalow that my wife and I had to fix up because it was a mess. I felt so bad. Home number 4. Home number 5 is when we go to Boston College.
Yep.
So 5 homes. All right. And so they were younger, so it wasn't as challenging for them. Who it was challenging for was my wife.
Right.
We get to Boston College. We get fired in 19. We were there for 7 or 8 years. Now, I forgot, Sarah, in 2019, what grade would you have been in? I don't know. 7th grade, so Maria's in 9th grade. Okay. I don't know this, but it comes to fruition. Here's what I'm babbling about. So now, 2020, I'm doing some work for home, COVID. I could have gone to Colorado State, Coach Adagio. I'm not going to Colorado State. I think I'm going to go to pro football. I'm going to try to get back into pro football. COVID hits. I think I'm going to the Atlanta Falcons. Doesn't happen. COVID hits. I do work from home. The next year, 21, now I'm getting older now, remember. I'm now in 21. That's 5 years ago. Is that 5 years ago? 4 years ago. What is it? So now I'm like 62, whatever, 63. Yeah. So now the girls are in high school. Okay. So now I can go to Colorado State. Well, I'm not moving my family at 63 years old, 62 years old to Colorado State. I had a wonderful high school experience. And I've already moved them. They've been in 5 homes. I'm not doing that to them. There's no freaking way. I want them to have a nice experience. It's on them if it happens or not.
Yeah.
I think Sarah's experience was a little more like mine in high school than Maria's. Maria had a smaller group of friends. Sarah was more like me, had a larger group of friends. I think has experienced a little more fun, basically.
Yeah.
But so now I'm going by my, it's like when I went to Colorado State, I lived with one of the other coaches, Brian White, who was one of my best friends in coaching.
Yeah.
And we were there for a year.
How was that talk with your wife? Was she fine with it?
No, my wife is tough as nails. Beat cancer. Looks like this pretty little blonde lady. I mean, she's tough as nails.
You need that special support system to be moving her around so much.
Yeah. My wife, she's tough now, as Sarah will tell you. She's tough.
Yeah.
But she has her, she has her challenges like we all do. But she's like, you go do what you got to do.
Okay.
And then, so we got fired. Thank God, because I didn't like Colorado.
Okay. How long were you there for?
I was there, thank God, for only 10 months. We got fired right after the season.
Wow.
Got on a plane. I was home in like 3 days.
Yeah.
But then Coach Franklin called me from Penn State. Now I'm getting older now. I'm like 64, 60, and he says, I want you to come work for me at Penn State.
And you said, do you have a room for me to stay in?
Yeah, well, he did. So he's like, I said, James, what do you want me to do for you? He goes, I want you to work with Phil Trautwein, the offensive line coach, who I coached in the NFL at the Rams, and I coached with at Boston College. And he goes, I want you to help with the run game, because that's really what I'm most interested in, the run game. And he said, you're going to live with me. So I went out in 2022, 22, 23, 24, and the Franklins were great to me. They were great to me. The family was like my second family. And I lived above his garage, and I was away for 3 years. For the better part of the 3 years, I was able to come home in the summer and when we had spring break.
Yeah.
And so I did that until this past March. And Kathy, would come out. Sarah's been to a couple of whiteouts, and they've been to the Rose Bowl, and they've been to the Peach Bowl, and they've been to some cool experience, and I had some cool experiences, but it was time. The Franklins were great to me, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart in many, many ways to me and my family. And so, yes, you have to have my wife, a strong, tough person. When I decided, I think I'm good.
Yeah.
I think I'm good. Kathy was like, come on home. Yeah. Come on home. And fortunately, I had been smart, probably like you guys with my money over the years. And so I'm able to live somewhat of a comfortable life and still provide for my family. And
that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got to be tough because.
Oh, it was tough now.
Yeah, not just moving away and all that stuff, but every now and then you're coming home, you're like, I just got fired.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But, but I don't know if it was time, like UConn, I was good. Kansas, when was it? Richmond, it's time to move on. I was there 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
I always
Was that your longest?
Yeah,
Richmond?
10 years was my longest.
Okay.
And then 8 years at Boston College, second longest.
Okay.
I had a couple 4-year runs. I had a couple 1-year runs, a 2-year run, a couple 3-year runs, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I always knew when it was time. And as I got older, not morbid, but as I got older, people would go into my office and I wouldn't have anything in my office. They'd be like, Coach, why is your office so empty? I'd be like, because I'm out of here in 45 minutes. When I get fired, I'm packed up and gone in 45 minutes. And every time, like the last, boom, I always had a sense of when the end was near.
Yeah.
It was time, and I keep very little. I have from 45 years of coaching, I have a box like this big. I discard. I get rid of gear. I get rid of playbooks. I don't want it. It's time to move on. Yeah, I don't keep anything.
Okay.
Time to move on.
Yeah.
You know?
So now you're home. Is your wife sick of seeing you because you're home so much compared to the other?
I think, well, that's
like you're still here?
Yeah. I am surprised, and I'm not telling like our family, you know. I'm surprised that I think she's happy because my wife is obviously 4 years on her own, and even prior to that, 16-hour days, 7 days a week. She raised the kids.
Yeah.
Basically, she raised the kids and took the brunt of raising the kids. I've just came home and why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? Why don't you shut the hell up? You know what I mean? I got this.
And we have a routine.
Yeah. But I think, and I've asked her very point blank, are you happy I'm home? And she goes, yeah, I am happy you're home. Now, I'm also smart enough. Like, as you know, you got to study your partner. Oh, yeah. I always tell these young men, if you think you're going to be the boss of your marriage, you got no shot. You got no shot. So my point is, and I mean this sincerely to the people listening, like if you want to have a successful marriage, you better know who your partner is. Yeah. And so I know that my wife is independent. Now, everybody needs a helping hand at times, but so I know when to, all right, I got to step away. I got to get out of her way. Mm-hmm. And I'm not trying to be funny. And that's why I'm coaching at Nichols, because I love the game and I want to give her space. But you better have a good partner, and you better know, you know, how to, when you are at home, when to hold them and when to fold them.
Yeah.
But I think she, and I enjoy, people always ask me, how's retirement? And I was nervous at first, but I've been very, very busy. And there's only been a few days in the last 4 months that I've been like, whoa, there's too much dead space here. You know what I mean?
Really?
Yeah. Only a couple of days. Now, I read a lot about World War II. I think I said earlier, I hope I'm not repeating myself, that my father fought in World War II.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, and so I read a lot about World War II. And
what did he do?
My dad flew B-17s. In over, you know, not all 24 missions were over Germany, but most of his missions were, and he got shot down in France twice.
No way.
Oh yeah. And his last mission, I read a book about him. His last mission, I think it was his 22nd or 23rd mission. Usually there's 10 people on a bomber plane. Mm-hmm. His last mission, there were 5. The pilot, the co-pilot, my dad was the navigator, the engineer, and 1 gunner, and he flew to a concentration camp when the war was closing to bring prisoners to safety.
No way.
Yeah. That was his last mission. I think it was the 23rd mission, to bring Jewish prisoners back out of these concentration camps.
Did he tell you about his experiences? Or
interesting. As he got older, because I was always like, I have an uncle who fought in the Battle of the Bulge, one of the 4 major battles in American history.
Wow.
Yeah, and that was the last major battle of World War II, the European front, not the Japanese, not the Pacific front.
Right.
But I would ask him a lot of questions, and that's how I learned he got shot down in France. That's how I learned where he was stationed in England. That's where I learned different things. And then when he passed, he had my brother had it, there are actually a couple books not written specifically about him, but about his plane, his bomber. It was called Misbehaving.
Wow.
They all had names on their planes. So I got to read, and we didn't realize when he passed, my brother's brother-in-law, who's in the military, researched my dad, and my dad had all types of medals, service medals, that he never, ever talked about. So I kind of veered off. I apologized. But I read a lot about our history, and I'm into history. Big time.
When did your dad pass?
My dad passed in February of 2013. And he was an awesome dude now. He's nothing like me. He was a quiet guy, and he was very supportive. And I think he was most proud of, like, me making it to the NFL from my, tough beginning. And then being a guy that grew up in Connecticut, he was pretty jacked up. We got to Boston College in December of 2012.
Yeah.
I think he was pretty jacked up, but he lived to like 95.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. He walked. I mean, he was in great shape even at 95. He was a great basketball player.
Really?
Yeah, he was a scholarship basketball player.
So what did he do? How old was he when he left the military?
My dad volunteered. My grandmother didn't want him to volunteer. He was older. I think my dad, and he was in, it wasn't called the Air Force back then. It was called the Army Air Corps in World War II. I think he volunteered at 24 to 26, around there. Wow. And then he was in for like 3 years.
Yeah.
They wanted him to go to the Pacific, but the Pacific was winding down, so he and some airline companies wanted him to be a pilot, like for United Airlines or Delta, whatever the airlines were back in those. But he went back to Hartford, Connecticut, and went on to be worked in insurance his whole life.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what he did. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, that's interesting.
Oh yeah. He's a cool dude now. All my like, listen, I got into some trouble in high school now, fighting. You know what I mean? He would just give me that look.
Yeah.
Like my mother, who was a tough Greek lady, would rip my ass. Pardon my language. I shouldn't have said that.
That's all right.
But my father would just give me that Italian look, like, come on, man. Anybody would never. When I flunked out of school, he just looked like, come on, man. You got to get it together,
Yeah.
He was very supportive. Yeah. Good dude. Good dude.
That's super cool.
Yeah, super guy.
Great. All right, Moose, do you have any questions before I get to the randomness?
No. You were a great guest. You gave us everything. No, seriously, half the time we have to, like, not half the time, excuse me, but sometimes you have to, like, pull stuff out of people, and you gave us everything we needed.
Yeah, you were great.
Too much, but.
No. Actually, one more question.
Go ahead.
When you finally decided, even though I really would argue that you're not really retired.
Many do.
Yeah.
Many do. You're not retired.
But when you decided to retire, was that a tough decision, or did you just wake up and go, I know it's time, I'm done?
No. Great question. So I'd always loved the pageantry and most everything about football. This is how this whole program started between all of us. And at Penn State, who I loved the kids dearly, particularly the offensive line and the tight ends, who I worked with closely, mostly. I started walking around a year ago when I had to go back. We went back like July 23rd. I had to leave my family. I was walking in the building, and little things, for the lack of a better term, started to bother me. The ostentatiousness that had started to come about. Like you and I have to put our own gas in our gas tank.
Yeah.
These kids get, as we already talked about, which some of it they deserve, but like they have a nutrition center where they can get food anytime they want. They often they have food that we would love, beautiful food. They have a training table. They still order DoorDash.
It's crazy.
We would away games, spreads like you can't believe, like wedding spreads, the Friday night before the game. Some of these kids, DoorDash, or what's some of the other things? What are they all called?
Uber Eats or whatever.
Yeah. Like, you're kidding me.
Wow.
So I'd walk around the building. Kids would buy like $3,000 handbags or hats. And I'm like, whoa, wait a second. Well, hold up now. Parents were like, all the way this program started an hour ago, why is it my son, who's never played a game, how come my son is not making what this guy's making. Well, here's the difference between, again, pro football, college football. Pro football, everybody keeps it to themselves and everything is mapped out.
Yeah.
How many years you've played in the league. These kids, they're just kids.
Yeah.
They talk in the locker room. I'm getting 300,000. What are you getting? Well, I'm not getting 300,000. You've never even started. I started. Then,
Yeah.
So I started seeing that. I started, in fairness to the young coaches, it's a young man's game. Mm-hmm. And I'm older. And I started seeing, always very respectful of me. I started seeing it's their world. It's not my world. It's their world. It's not my world. It's their time.
Yeah.
And then I just woke up on March 23rd. And so that had I still loved the games. I still loved the practices. The other things to me that were never silly appeared to be silly. The recruiting weekends, when these kids come in and they get in the uniform and they take photos of them. I'm like, what are we doing now?
Yeah.
We're not preparing these kids for real life, for when they maybe get divorced or their parents die or a child is not succeeding or getting picked on.
Right.
How are you going to handle this? I said, this is not for me. Time to go.
Or for when they're not getting, when the better players start coming along, you don't get the attention and the perks
That's
that you
how we
used
started
to.
the program. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So it was a little bit of a slow process, but it was coming.
Right.
And it was coming like a freight train. And there's a few things that triggered it, which it was a blessing that it got triggered. I woke up, and I think Coach Franklin would have liked it if I gave him a little more notice, but I went in his office on a Sunday morning, and I've apologized to him for that. But I'm like, James, I'm done. I've always said when it was time to go, it's time to go, and it's time to go. Wow. And I got in my car on a Sunday morning, called my wife, said, I'm coming home.
Yeah.
That was it. I ripped the Band-Aid off.
You took his little box
and
trashed everything. So then you went, now, where are you again? The school you're at now?
Nichols College.
Nichols. So how long before you went to Nichols after that?
About a day. Seriously, about a day. But
you just wanted to be home. You just wanted to be home.
Right. Yeah. That's right, Moose. Yeah. Let me justify. Honestly, it's just what I was home. I could drive 35 minutes. Yeah. I helped the kids in practice. Yeah. I give them a fight for the blue and white speech.
Yeah.
I watch the tape, and then I go home. I'm in my own bed, eating my own egg salad, doing my own deal. You know what I mean? It was literally a day. Sarah will tell you.
I don't blame you.
I missed 3 of their spring practices, and I coached the next 14.
Wow.
Yeah. Wake up at 5 in the kind of not as much as you, but in my car because they don't have the facilities,
Right.
So whenever they could get the field, whether it was 5 in the morning or 7 at night, I'd be there.
What's the difference recruiting for Division III is Nichols?
Oh, yeah.
So what's the difference, that type of recruiting versus the D1?
Oh, my God. I could spend another hour talking about that, but it
must be challenging to be like,
it is.
Yeah.
I
just saw superstars and this kid's really good, but
they look like the 3 of us.
Yeah.
No disrespect, Moose, but we have linemen that look like you, and it's different. It's different. Yeah. But it's refreshing.
Right.
There's no NIL. There's no revenue sharing. There's no training table. There's no. They work fit.
It takes the weight off a little bit.
Yeah.
You can enjoy, I think, more of the game.
It's refreshing.
Yeah.
They're doing it because they love football.
Yeah, exactly. There's no ulterior motive here.
And the young coaches, they're not making these ridiculous salaries. They don't have all the gear. If they get a pair of shorts, they're happy. If they get a Nichols t-shirt, they're happy.
Yeah. And mentally, you probably go in there and you're just like, this is exactly what I want right now.
This is what I started out in 45 years ago in Western Connecticut.
Yeah. So I don't blame you for that.
It's awesome. It's awesome.
He's never going to retire either. I don't know why he's like shocked. He thinks he is, but he's like, yeah, you're saying that
there
now.
Are days, literally, it's funny. I was resonating with me when you said the little things bothering you. There are days that's the little things are bothering me more and more. I was telling you before this that the radio business is just different and is annoying now. And I mean, there are times that I've said to my wife, I'm like, listen, if they don't, so my last contract when I had my last contract negotiation with them, you know, radio's in a rough shape, blah, yada, all this stuff, and they were making cuts. They were letting people go, and I remember I went into my program director and I said, I'm just going to tell you this right now, because I have a lot of friends in the industry who've been let go because of one reason or another, and they get let go and they get upset and they're a little bitter. But at the same time, they're going, hey, listen, if something comes up, hire me. Yeah, I went to my program director and I said, I'm just going to let you know right now, if I get that call, the budget cut or whatever it is, I'm good. I'm done.
Absolutely.
I am 100, not because I don't love it, but because I don't have the... I will never have the, did I work hard enough? Was I good? I'm giving you 100% every single, I am.
Absolutely.
So I don't have that in me. So it'll suck, but I'm also not going to come back.
Right. Absolutely.
If I get let go. So I've had that talk with them. Like I'm talking like in the last year.
Yeah.
So it's funny. Like and sometimes the little things I'm like,
you're at peace with yourself and how you
100%. I'm 100% at peace with myself.
People called me and they're, from around the country, and they're like, what? Yeah. I'm like, dude, it was time to go.
Yeah.
I'm good.
I'll find something like, life is short.
I knew somebody would call me and, I'll be all right. And if not, I'll work around.
It might be the next day, like Mr. Leonard over here.
That's great. We're on opposing ends of that stick. You're like, I'm all set, and I'm like clawing at the enclosure. So
yeah.
I mean, hey, you gotta.
It all works out though. Trust me.
Yeah.
Trust me. The guy slept on many floors, in many basements. It all works out.
That's what everyone keeps saying. See, he's disciplined as hell. I'm delusional as hell.
Yeah.
So that's where we meet him and me.
I was a little
we like
of
be in
both.
the middle. Yeah. I think you got to be a little bit of both.
Yeah.
He's extremely. I'm just like Ramiro. I don't know how, but it's gonna happen.
That's right.
It'll work. I don't know how.
Moose
I'll let you know after.
Moose is like, I'm just gonna be a giant Hollywood director. Trust me, it's going to happen.
And he's
You gotta
like,
have that
I don't know, but I know it will. And he's like, all right.
That's what you got. That's the attitude you gotta have.
I always say this to people, but Moose is 25 years old, from Revere, Algerian,
handsome.
That has nothing to do with my question. So, 25-year-old from Revere, Algerian. He wants to be a filmmaker. He has a movie that he has written. With the description I just gave you about him, try and guess what the movie would be about.
The Badlands of Revere.
Can you imagine? What did that one guy say? He said a three-way beef. What did he say?
Something like everybody always thinks like inner city fight, turmoil. Tell him, Moose.
Well, it's a 1960s drama about a writer from New York City who goes down to the South and he finds himself entangled in a little bit of a political love triangle.
Oh, that sounds good.
I said, "Where's
There's way more into it. That's just your basic plot
He's
line.
giving me more details, and it's very good." And I said, "Moose, I don't understand how you came up with that type of film."
Yeah.
Listen, it's called delusion. You just take it and run. You know what I mean?
A guy I worked for, Jim Reed, for 10 years. I love him. He went to Maine, and I think, Stephen King went to Maine.
Yep.
He's from Maine. Yeah.
He went to the University of Maine, and he said he used to see him walking around campus, and he was a different kind of cat. It takes people who are on their own page to go.
Yeah. I mean, because why not?
Yeah. All right. So listen, I got, I have another question because I have Colin knows this. She just came the other day to my son's practice. Like, he's 6, but he is, for some reason, I feel like I'm going to be a hockey parent with him. Uh-huh. He just went to his first skating lesson, fell down every 10 seconds, got up, and he was like, when the class ended, he goes, I want to go do that again. Let's go back. I got him in learn to play now. I already signed him up for a team. I feel like we're going to be doing that type of lifestyle.
Yeah.
So
make sure he has fun.
Okay, that's my question is, like, I already signed him up for a couple of clinics before his team starts playing. But give me the speech of how I should be as a parent.
Wow.
Like, where I don't go too hard, where he ends up hating it, but also
Sarah played soccer.
Okay.
And played basketball, and I could see. Now I'm going to do this delicately. Sarah is a strong-minded young girl, And I could see those team type of deals getting, yelled at. That wasn't really her shtick. So I could tell. But then she danced, and I could see it that like, this kid likes to, this is what she likes to do.
Yeah.
And so that's what she has done. So I think if you're not delusional, and I'm not being derogatory towards you, I think if you just give him space
Yep.
and communicate with him, does he enjoy it? And if he does, let him go.
Okay.
But don't try to make him the next Bobby Orr. You know who Bobby Orr is?
Of course.
Okay. Don't try to make him the next Bobby Orr. And I'm sorry. As long as he enjoys it. Because I knew Sarah was at the point, she ain't enjoying this soccer bit.
Yeah.
And I think she liked basketball, but she's not exactly 6'2". You know what I mean?
Well, that's why my son actually has a crush on her, because even though he's 6, they're almost the same height. No, they came to the house for was it the winter dance or what, winter ball, and so he has a little stuffed animal bear that he calls Baby.
All this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He just that's his. It's a third arm of his.
Yeah.
He saw Sarah and he would just like put it next to her and walk away, almost like as his token of love. Like, look what I'm showing you.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I was convinced. I go, it's because she's closest to his eyesight line.
By the way, hockey's an awesome sport. I was a better hockey player than football.
Really?
Oh yeah.
See, I know nothing, but now I'm
hockey's awesome.
YouTubing everything about it just so I could understand it better.
Yeah, hockey's awesome. I used to play in the pond hockey goalie, and the high school coach wanted me to play hockey. But in my day, all the hockey players in high school, they were a little free-spirited, if you know.
Yeah, yeah.
They were kind of hippie-ish, free-spirited, and I wasn't used to that. I was used to regimented,
Right.
And I'm like, I can't do this. But hockey's awesome.
Yeah.
Just let him make sure he has fun. But if he wants these lessons and these clinics, great.
He loves it. I think he honestly right now he just loves getting dressed and the equipment and stuff.
Yeah.
We're getting dressed and he's always going, hit me. He'll put on his elbow pad, try and hit me. He puts on his shoulder pads and he goes, punch me in the chest as hard as you can. I'm like,
Well, that was Sarah with the dance. You could tell she just loved being in the costumes and being, there. And you're like, that's her deal. You'll know. You'll know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hockey's awesome.
All right. Couple more random questions before we end this.
Sure.
What's your favorite quote?
My father. It's not how you start out in life. It's how you end up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there a goal that you never accomplished or haven't yet?
God dang it. Well, it was tough for me to turn down that Detroit Lions job. I wouldn't have minded going back to the NFL. Mm-hmm. Not because it was the NFL, because there was no recruiting. And you just worked on coaching. But as corny as this may sound, my goal, it doesn't have anything to do with football. It's for my wife and kids to be happy.
Okay.
That's my goal.
Okay.
Yeah, and I don't care what I got to do to get that to happen. I'm going to do what I got to do.
Right.
Yeah. That's real. Honest to God, I'm not being like gushy or mushy. That's my goal at 67 years old.
At the end of the day, that's the most important thing.
Go on and be happy.
Yeah, I literally have a friend in radio, and he's super career focused, and he's older now. He's in his 40s, and he's having a baby today, as a matter of fact, probably at this moment. Like his wife, her due date's today, and if they don't have it, they're going to induce her. And I said to him, just wait until you see how many things that a year ago would set you off, you don't care about now.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I think listen, I was just a lunch pail guy. I always knew the lane I was in. Again, I said earlier, Coach Adagio sometimes pushed me out of that lane, which was a good thing. But I don't have, God, I don't think I have any regrets. I am treated very well, so I lasted a little bit. I'm treated too well at times, and now, I'm sure if I wasn't as animated and my personality, maybe I could have got a couple other jobs, but I'm good. I don't care. Yeah. That's why I got the other jobs I got. No, I'm good.
Go ahead. Ask me any other question.
All right. Here comes my favorite, Moose. If you could time travel to the past or the future to observe, you can't do anything to alter the situation. Which way are you going and what do you want to see?
Oh, God. I've thought about this before. But so you'd think I would have it wouldn't be going forward.
Okay.
Because I know I'll be in heaven. I'll be able to look down at my daughters and see what's going on with them. So I'll be able to see that. So it's not going forward. Backwards. Man. How far back? Dang. Backwards. I don't know. That's a tough one. Maybe like to the see what the country was like in the 1700s.
Okay.
Yeah. See what it was like. See what New England was like in the 1700s.
Before 1776 or after?
Like around that time.
Around that time?
Maybe before then.
When they started getting annoyed?
Yeah. All right, yeah.
These taxes are getting out of hand.
Yeah. And I just, like, again, now I'm getting a little corny, but as I read so much about the men and women of around World War II, and it's just like, we're having this, like I've read 5 books on Winston Churchill.
Yeah.
And they get tired of me. My daughters get tired of me saying this. We're not sitting here if it's not for Winston Churchill. Okay. Winston Churchill, although very odd, he was the prime minister as prime minister of Britain. No one's convincing me. We are not sitting here if it's not for Winston Churchill and part Frank and FDR.
Yeah.
We're not here because but this guy, what this guy had to do to convince people that, we're not, the Nazi regime, we're in tough shape now.
You would love talking to my wife. She has a World War II obsession and like.
I do too. I told you, I'm reading about the Iron Curtain right now.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, about the Berlin Wall.
You should dive into Operation Paperclip.
Is that a book?
That? Yeah.
About what?
About something that went on during World War II.
Which one was Paperclip? Which one?
It's where they relocated the Nazis into Argentina.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, but I've read Killing the Nazis.
Yes, by what's her name?
No, his name. Bill O'Reilly, and he co-wrote McGregor. All the killing.
Oh, I didn't hear about that. Oh, no.
Yeah, Killing the Nazis. How they all went to. What you gotta? I gotta put that in my phone.
Operation Paperclip.
I did.
And it's a book?
I have heard about
that. It's a book. It's this investigative journalist. I think her name's Annie Jacobson. She wrote it, and
how they hunted down the Nazis.
How basically they gave them 2 options. They saw that they were fleeing to Argentina after kind of stuff went down, and until this day, it's Argentina or Chile. I forgot.
Argentina.
It's Argentina.
It's Argentina.
It's something Dignidad or whatever.
Something
that
like
area
that.
where
Like you go and you would think you're in Europe because of the architecture, and people still speak German. And
Argentina.
It's still.
Yeah. And they tried to form schools for the kids.
Exactly. But then also too, what they did was they took some of Hitler's top scientists,
and they're right here in America.
And they said, you have 2 choices. We're gonna throw you in a cage and forget the key.
Yep.
Or we need to get to the moon.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that blew my mind. I went down a crazy rabbit hole. Because like the guy, she was talking to some guy on the podcast, and he wasn't believing her. Like he was like, whatever.
Absolutely the truth.
And then she deviated, and she started talking about how like these high-ranking Nazi generals, they would fence into to show status of like high honor. They would have this scar that they would purposely do on their face to show how high ranked they were in the Nazi regime.
I've heard that too.
And if you go into like the pictures of like some of the scientists that got us up to the moon, I forgot his name. It's like Gutenberg. No, it's not Gutenberg. It's someone else. He has that scar.
Oh yeah,
on his face. So it's a crazy.
I got to read that book.
Operation Paperclip.
I'm almost done with. It's called Checkpoint Charlie.
Okay.
Which was the point of crossing in the Berlin Wall. But I'm almost done with it.
Yeah.
I gotta write that down. Yeah.
It's not.
I wouldn't mind being around then.
Yeah.
Because really, America didn't want to go into World War II. They were, and Churchill was trying to get us in.
Yeah.
Because he was telling FDR, you don't get us, you don't come in this war. He's coming across the Atlantic. But obviously, Pearl Harbor got us in the war. But anyway, so that might be the second time period, like how tough and united America was.
Yeah.
Which is, I hope someday we can get back to that.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mine is always I want to see how the pyramids were actually made.
Oh my God, that's a great one.
I just refuse to believe
I know it.
what everyone says. I'm like, there is some non-human interaction there somehow.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, please.
Do you think we're the only ones living in the universe or the solar system?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, absolutely not. No question.
Depending on the day, I don't know if we're the only ones living on Earth, because
There's no question.
if you think about
No question.
the deep depths of the ocean, whenever there's some sort of tsunami or something like that, these creatures wash up that we've never seen before.
Yeah.
That resemble alien stuff. And if you're going to, let's say if you're going to be somewhere and examine what's going on in that place, you want to be somewhere where they can't get to you.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to go to the deepest levels of the ocean.
I never thought of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely. Come on now.
Yeah.
We think we're the only ones. That's just.
That's my dream episode for us to do.
Oh, we gotta
it's
get
like a full hardcore on like conspiracy. I'm like drooling at that. Like I would, yeah.
I want to work on this. Get me one of those pilots that have testified of seeing the come out of the water. And all that
UFOs.
You ought to have one too on who killed Kennedy.
Yes.
Oh my
yes.
God!
I don't believe
a bullet that
turns
and curves.
There's way more into that. Yeah.
The mob killed Kennedy.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. I've said that a million times. I've said I'm like the mafia was like
The guy-
get him
But
out.
do you know why?
Why?
Because, Joe Kennedy was John F. Kennedy, Ted Kennedy, and Robert Kennedy's father.
Yeah.
Okay. So he was, as we all know, he wasn't an upstanding citizen. Mm-hmm. And he got all the mob in Chicago to switch votes to elect John F. Kennedy over Nixon in the first. And so John F. Kennedy gets elected. So then he names his brother, Robert F. Kennedy, the general, what's the correct term? Attorney General. Mm-hmm. Attorney General. Mm-hmm. So what does Robert F. Kennedy do? What is Robert F. Kennedy famous for? His goal, wipe out the mob. Mm-hmm. The mob's like, are you kidding me?
We got you in.
We just got your brother in.
Yeah.
So if you think.
Oh, yeah, no, I've always said that.
Some crackpot up in the fourth floor.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No, absolutely not.
Well, the biggest thing with me with that was whenever they showed, who's the guy that took him out? Jack Ruby?
No. Ruby killed Lee Harvey Oswald.
That's what. Okay, so that's what.
Yeah.
Whenever they've showed footage of that, I'm like, wait a minute. So this guy who took out the president,
right.
This other dude just happens to roll up to him and no one stops him. And
no,
he shoots.
mob guy.
Yeah, I'm like, and what? Like I said, that is the shadiest thing I've ever seen in my life.
So that's got to be an episode.
Yeah, and we'll have you back.
I didn't mean to veer it off, but that's got to be.
We will call you and you can come
We'll
back and you can enjoy it.
I've read a bunch of books about that too now.
Oh yeah, I can talk about that for hours.
Oh yeah, me too. I love it.
Thank you for coming in, Frank. This was
pleasure.
awesome. This was awesome.
It was awesome. My daughter, are you nervous? I'm like, no, I'm not nervous, but I did have a tinge of apprehension. I'm like, I wonder how this is going to go. I'm used to coaches like, okay, what are you going to run on fourth down? I mean,
no, we have fun and we go, as you see, all over the place.
Yeah, that was fun.
We always try and explain it to people, and it takes a while for them to get it.
I'm like, just get in the chair and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
You'll be good.
I appreciate it very much.
Yeah, thank you, and thank you, of course, to Sarah and Kala for the matchmaking services.
All right.
There it is. Don't forget to like and subscribe.